Hey everybody, today we are looking at inequalities. So we're going to see that not everything is equal. So if you say that 2 equals 2, yes. So that's obviously something that would be an equation. Or if you go 2 plus 2 equals 4, yes. If you add 2 plus 2, it equals 4. But something like 3 plus 2 is greater than 4, yeah, that's an inequality. All right, so we're definitely, it's something that you may learn in elementary school. But we're going to look at some of the wording that goes along with it, which will, we'll take a real-world application approach as we usually do. But it should be very helpful for you, and you're going to see how this is going to translate to solving inequalities, which you actually can do. All right, so I hope it's helpful. Please make sure you subscribe below, hit the notification button, like, comment, all those things. It'll help us out. Thanks. All right, so before we start looking at some inequalities, I want to go over some of the phrasing and the symbols. So in elementary school, a lot of times teachers say the alligator. All right, so if we put smaller numbers here, 5 and 4, all right, 5 is obviously larger than 4, 5 more than 4. So when looking at it in real terms, it says something is more than. All right, I know that goes along with addition as well, but more than means it can be higher than, exceeding, it could be higher than, above, greater than. All right, now if you go over here to the right, something can be greater than or equal to. So you could have 6 compared to 5, or you could even say 6 compared to 6. So this underline indicates that it could be equal to. So at least. So if it comes up in a word problem, I need at least $120 for the bike. So can you have exactly $120? Yes. Could you have more than $120? Absolutely. No fewer than. All right, I need no fewer than 5 people to help me move. So can you have exactly the 5? Yes. Can you have more? Absolutely. Minimum. All right. I need a minimum of 20 books in order to meet my goal. Can I have exactly 20? Yes. Can I have more than? Sure. And then the last one here can be tricky. No less than. All right. So you're kind of inverting it. I'm not really sure what the term is in language arts, but no less than means like if I have less than that, then I'm in trouble. So I have to have more than. All right, and then this one here on the other side, 3 compared to 4. So we're looking opposite from what we have up here. Fewer than, below, less than. These ones you should be more familiar with from elementary school. Okay. And then we have over here, no more than. Obviously opposite than what we have from what we have on top. All right. So same thing, 3 compared to 6, or as we said before, 3 compared to 3. All right. No more than. So I can have no more than 3 people in this room. All right, can I have exactly 3? Sure. But if I have 4, that's too much. I have to have less than 3. Not above. All right, so this is your at most, right, is another one that we see. All right, all these work out well when we're translating it over. All right, here's a great problem to start out with. So what they want us to do is the number x, we'll call it. They're saying the number x is between -9 and -19. All right, so since we're dealing with integers, which I suggest to go back to the integer lesson if you haven't seen that, we want to use our graph here to help us, but also we want to be able to write this, also like do this without the graph eventually because the number's going to get so big. So if we think about it, -9, well, as we move to the left, or even though it's not exactly -9, that's the number that we're going to find first. All right, and then we have -19. All right, so according to the graph, -19 comes first. All right, it doesn't say that the number can be equal to either -9 or -19. So we simply put these inequality signs in and write x. So this would be our inequality phrase. Okay, now what they want us to do is take this this sentence here, this inequality sentence. And then this is also known as a compound inequality because it's 2 inequalities in one. All right, so we know that 2 is to the right of the decimal, or I'm sorry, to the right of the 0. It doesn't have to be exact. At least that's not what I require with my kids. And then -14, if you want to make it somewhat accurate, it's going to be over here. All right, now we're going to put open circles on these at first, and then we'll figure out if they're going to stay open or closed. So sometimes I have my kids do it above, sometimes they choose to do it right on the line graph. So today we're going to do it right on the line graph. So since this has a line underneath it for both of them, we're actually going to go ahead and close these. And then what we want to do is shade in between. just like that. All right, and that would be it for our graph right here. All right, here's another one we're going to graph. It's technically a compound inequality, except it's written slightly different from what we just saw. So we know that the positive 12 is to the right of the 0, and then the negative 12 is over here. Okay, now we go back to our 12. We see that this is also pointing this direction, right? So what I tell my kids, as long as your variable's on the left, right, of the left of the inequality sign, look at this as an arrowhead right here, right? Since it's pointing to the right, we're going to shade all this in. I may have said left before. And since there's no line underneath, you're going to leave that open. Same thing here. Open circle. It's now pointing in this direction like an arrowhead, shaded in, and that would be your graph. Right, so they're going outward this time. All right, now we're going to go in reverse from what we had before. So they want us to write an inequality from the graph. All right, so let's pick any variable you want. Let's use x. All right, so all right, now we're going to go in reverse. They want us to come up with a compound inequality based off of the graph that we see here. All right, so let's use f as our variable. Doesn't really matter. We always are going to start with this here on the right. All right, so we see that it is a solid dot. All right, so we know we're going to have a line underneath. We can write the 4 here and a negative 3 here. We can tell that this one over here is going to be an open, right, because the dot is open, so we're not going to put a line underneath. Since this is pointing in this direction, this is going to point this way. Now, since the variable is written like this, remember what I said before, that the variable always has to be in the left? Well, if we take this portion here and reverse it, where f is being compared to negative 3, we can see that it's actually pointing to the right. But when we go to flip it, we have to flip it as well. So in almost every case, we're going to have it where we're doing compound inequalities. When you're looking at this portion, the left side here, you have to think in reverse. All right, so you may want to practice that a few times. All right, for this last one here, what they want us to do is to write a statement using inequality symbols. All right, so we have our two numbers here, negative 2 and 4. So regardless, if it's obviously going to be a compound inequality, negative 2 is going to be on the left, right, because we have that as our smaller number, and then 4. So let's write two separate ones for now. So it says x is greater than or equal to 4. So if x is greater than or equal to 4, it's going to look like that. But it also says that x is less than negative 2. So we have negative 2 here. If it's less than, it's going to look like this. All right? So if we put x in the middle, all right, we can see that x is going to be like this. All right, x is greater than or equal to negative 4. And then it also should point this way, all right, which we can't really write. So you don't really see it written like that. So this would simply be a compound inequality right here. Okay, so that concludes our video on inequalities. I would definitely take a look at that list of phrasing. It will help you with writing out your inequalities and graphing them. What we're going to do next in our next video is actually solving some inequalities, and you'll see how this approach kind of goes right along with solving equations. All right, just one different symbol, but then they also ask you to graph it. So all of this is building upon prior lessons, so be sure to go back and watch anything on solving equations prior to the next video, which will be solving inequalities. Thanks.